Welcome to another episode of I Quit My Job, where ordinary individuals take that leap of faith and they go on to do something extraordinary. And so today's guest is no other than Sir Ryan Knight, a champion of the Black community. He serves the Black community, his organization is about the Black community. What he does is he speaks about entrepreneurship. He uses it as a tool, he uses it as a tool for freedom. He uses it as a tool for equity, building generational wealth, and he serves the Black community through entrepreneurship. So today's guest, Sir Ryan Knight, didn't just quit his job. He quit the idea that success only comes through permission.
Yeah, agreed.
From Dragon's Den
Yeah.
to building Black-owned ecosystems, Ryan Knight turned entrepreneurship into a weapon of change. Before all the awards, before the boards, before the big visions, there was a moment where everything could have just stayed ordinary. But he didn't allow that to happen in this episode. And, he's going to be a legend years from now about how he tried to help the community and how he has been helping the community. So he's been leaving a legacy and also his personal legend.
Yeah,
but Ryan,
and
thank you so much
I
for showing up,
appreciate you.
man. That's so
course.
amazing. Thank you for coming on here, dropping some gems for the community and dropping some gems for the audience. This is very interesting to me because, we met like 6-7 years ago,
Yes.
and I watched you kind of like just ride up the stream. We went different paths. But I just watched you just rise, and I'm like, I got to get this young man on. He's a pillar in the community. To get to where you are right now, kind of explain to everybody who you are, and to get to this moment of Sir Ryan, and then we'll just take it from there and follow your journey.
Yeah, and people ask me like why I added Sir, and I always say my mother is the queen, but it's really a play on my last name. My last name is actually Knight.
Yeah.
So going the medieval theme, I used to lean into it a lot more with detailing knights because using that last name and the medieval theme of, the logo used to be a shield. So being able to play that up. But the journey here was interesting because now I'm going to school and the teachers are always telling me, oh, Ryan has so much potential, but the ADHD, they didn't have a name for it really back then.
Oh, so you had some...
I feel like I'm diagnosed now to realize, okay, why was I such a wild child in grade 4 and grade 5 and even like elementary up to grade 8, realized, okay, I need to shift things up. So I actually went to high school and switched from public school to Catholic. And so, you know what? I'm going to just have new environment, new friends, and I could fake it till I make it and turn into the nerd and made the honor roll and graduated. But then that OAC year, there's no even OAC anymore. But OAC was the year to help you get into university.
Yeah.
But university was always my mother's dream. So when university kind of fell apart, I started figuring out, girl, I got my license. I was like the only one with a car. So getting distracted and skipping school, always the year just fell apart. And then getting in trouble with the law, getting into fights. You're trying to show yourself to your friends and try to, just fit in. But that caused a long drifting moment. Not being able to go to university, I felt like I let my parents down. So drifting in and out of different jobs and then thinking that I had the best, like a great job. I was a purchasing agent for a company that did assistive technology for those with, accessibility needs.
Oh, nice.
Getting sent on business trips out to Boston. And then you come back and you get that call into the office with the HR managers there. You're like, oh, hey, Barbara, why are you here from corporate? And it was that, around 2008, 2009, that whole downturn came to our company too.
Oh, man.
So now with the downturn happening and getting kind of packaged out, I was like, okay, this is what my dad has been talking about. He's been always putting in my ear about entrepreneurship.
Oh, really?
If you want to be rich, start your own business. If you want to control your own destiny, start your own business. So I took that time, and I would say thanks to my wife, who I got laid off 2 weeks before my wedding.
Oh, man.
Thankfully, we still did get married, but shifting to like, okay, I need to provide for this family that I'm trying to build. So being able to take time, go back to school and say, hey, I'm going to finish this accounting diploma that was supposed to take 3 years, and it was taking about 10. So after 10 years, but at the same time, wanting to start the business, and my brother loved detailing cars. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to school for accounting and the business side of things. I'll handle the marketing, getting clients. You handle detailing. Boom, Detailing Nights was born. But even starting it, having that patience for my wife, but taking a course with College Pro painters. Right. So I don't know if you know College Pro, where you teach how to start a painting business. I was like, oh, this is what it takes to be an entrepreneur, and I loved it. And so my mom would always try to say like, you should get a government job and be like structured and conservative, safe. But the entrepreneurship bug fully took over once I saw the blueprint, because College Pro has it all laid out. And then we realized this is something that we can do with our company because cleaning cars wasn't as intense as
Oh, nice,
painting houses.
nice,
So, okay,
nice.
we can teach youth how to actually start their own businesses using our model, and they become like a micro franchise of what we're doing. So
Amazing,
that was kind of the
amazing.
journey up to where entrepreneurship started.
With that entrepreneurship, how did you like kind of like transition into the whole granting government and that type of thing? How did that happen?
It was out of, I would say, a selfish need for me to have the most support around me. So I started detailing nights. It was growing. We started the youth program, and then it did fall off. Had, I would say, a very low point
Mhm.
where the business wasn't doing well. We had a large contract. We lost it. Didn't know how to rebound. But then climbing out of that, I was like, why did this all fall apart? Like,
Mm.
things were nice. I'm running the company. It's growing. You're getting awards. The Toronto Board of Trade, I got an
Oh,
award with that.
nice, nice.
Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year. You're like, yo, I'm invincible. But it all comes crashing down because the foundation wasn't set. There was
Mm.
no real
Okay, okay,
structure to what I was doing. I was just winging it. So
okay.
then when you get a big contract, if you don't put things in place properly, it can crush you. So now I was like, but where was the guidance to actually escape this? I
Right,
was like, but it didn't really exist. Like, there's
right.
great organizations like the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. They helped me first get my first grant with a summer company, and then we're there to give information, but not really guidance. So
Mm.
that's where I looked around and said, you know what? And then nothing in the Black community, especially in Brampton or in Peel, it was like, could we build an organization that would sit down with an entrepreneur, figure out what stage they're in, and then help them create a strategy to grow, and then be there as kind of the guardrails to be like, hey, think of this, think of that. And because I knew I needed it, I was like,
Right.
okay, let me put it out there and see if other people are doing the
Oh,
same thing.
nice, nice,
So 7 other people came to the first breakfast. We were like, okay, this is the idea, this is the
nice,
vision.
nice.
And then it grew to 50 came to our first meeting, and that was the birth of ACBN, so the Afro-Caribbean Business Network.
So now we're here, we're here now. And was there a specific moment when you realized if I don't bet on myself, I may never get to where I needed to get to?
Yeah, and I mentioned my mother a lot because it was always in my ear about, okay, how do you get a stable job, a secure job? And so when Detailing Nights was struggling,
Mhm.
there was a point where I was like, you know what? This is hard. Like, entrepreneurship, I never hype up entrepreneurship to the point where people feel it's easy. That's why you need the support, because there's going to be times when you're down. And a lot of times I always say you need that network to be able to talk to, because I was under my desk when payroll was coming up and you're like, I don't have the money to pay these people. They're going to come find it. Just, your brain can go into a dark space.
Yes,
So
yes,
it was
I'm in
difficult.
that now sometimes.
It never ends. It's always
Never
like
ends.
levels of it. Saw a job at the city of Brampton. It was in the entrepreneur department. I was like, oh, I like entrepreneurship. I love what they do, so let me go work there. And that was the moment that I realized that I'm unemployable, unfortunately for them,
Mhm.
because I'm working in there and all I can think about is building my own thing, or how do I become the CEO of this department, because I have these ideas and there's no one to really share the ideas with. Or I remember getting called into the senior manager's office, and he was like, Ryan, I see you have all these great ideas. You want to really do these things, but we don't need all stars here. We just need team members. Yeah, this is not for me. I can't
Wow.
I can't conform and like turn off the ideas that are running in my brain. I need an outlet. So from there, I was like, okay, that's where I leaned into entrepreneurs. I was like, there is no plan B.
Mhm.
Like, this is where you belong, because the plan B really is going again. Like, I'd be depressed. I need to build a way for entrepreneurs to not have to quit and go back to just working corporate. Because even if you get a job, I'm not against having a job. It's just now, don't cut off your outlet. The entrepreneurship is where the creativity lives.
Right,
And even going to
right.
school, I love that I took accounting, but I also wish I took marketing, because that's where I think I would have flourished. Like, knowing the numbers is amazing, and I think it's great to know, but being able to study how to be creative and how to have your own voice and tell the message of what you're bringing to the world, everybody should take that course just to learn how to tell their own story.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's amazing. So you weren't afraid of failing.
I wouldn't say I wasn't afraid. I just, at that point, I was like, this is what I want to fail in.
So
If I'm going to fail at something, it will be what I choose, and not me failing at a government job that I
Right.
don't even like anyway.
right,
Right.
right. I get that. So you weren't trying to stay comfortable. You weren't
Mm.
afraid of failing.
Right.
But a lot of people are so talented,
Right.
in
Right.
entrepreneurship or just in what they do, but they're stuck.
Mm.
What would you say about that?
Well, I got stuck because as an entrepreneur, and we did research on this where we surveyed about 1,500 entrepreneurs in our network because there's about 6,000. So we're like, okay, let's find out what's going on. Like, where are people struggling?
Mhm.
And we found that 86% of them had less than 5 employees. And then 71% actually only were by themselves. So they had no teammates, no employees, nothing. And this is where I realized for myself, as I was running the company, you have to do everything. So you're wearing all the hats, but then there's some hats that drain you more than others.
Yeah.
So when you get stuck, and I studied accounting, I took bookkeeping, but when I have to sit down and reconcile my bank statements against my QuickBooks and my invoices, there's no light there. It's like it's just pure draining of your energy. So
Mhm.
that's where an entrepreneur now, they get stuck in the mundane things that they don't want to be doing.
Don't wanna do.
But
Right.
this is where we have to learn how to build our teams, because every time I bring this up to an entrepreneur, they're like, oh, but I can't afford anybody.
Mm.
I'm just trying to figure it out. So we now realize that we have to help entrepreneurs actually build their team, get their best next hire. I feel like this was the missing piece
Right.
where we didn't have a tool to help entrepreneurs actually hire people. So now that we have our micro
Amazing.
program, we can
Amazing.
get them some funds, they can get a person. And so when you bring in this person, now they're going to take off your shoulders.
Right.
Maybe it's the prospecting, the outreach, the data entry, the email prospecting, and you can just focus on selling, or you can focus on your talent. You can just build the thing that you build and let somebody else bring in the clients. Now you can, like, there's no limit to that. You
Mhm.
can say, I'll do this every day. But when you tell an entrepreneur you have to do everything every day, that's when they're like, man, I can't get out of this rut. I promise you, it is a team member that needs to be brought in. When you feel stuck, there's somebody missing that needs to work with you to get you unstuck.
Was there any doubters in terms of when you said, "Hey, I'm gonna take this on my own"? There's certainly, I know you speak of your mom and your family was like, "Hey, get a job, get a job. This is more secure."
Yes.
Did it crush you a little bit? Did it motivate you? Like, what did it do to you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it crushed, because even with my mom, it was more, I could see that she wants her son to be safe and stable. And my dad was the booster. He was like, no, go for it, because he'd always wanted to start his own thing. And what I was surprised that I thought more doubt might have came from my wife, because we're just about to get married. Now I'm trying to explain to her, man, I fear that walk to the door. I still remember it, of when I had to tell her I'd left, got laid off. And it's like, and then what's next? Like, what's the plan? So when you lay out the plan, you're like, okay,
Mhm.
this is what I feel I'm meant to do. Like, this is what, and you anticipate maybe pessimism. You anticipate, why would you do that? Why don't you just go get a similar job? You have this experience. But she was all in. She's like, okay, if this is it,
Oh, amazing.
she
Amazing.
she was like the real rock. And sometimes, hey, you can't talk to your wife about everything. That's where you need like a more of a business community. But all of it connects. Like, there's so many puzzle pieces that you have to connect as an entrepreneur. It's now, you usually don't have guidance on how everything fits. And that's
Mhm.
what I'm hoping ACBN can do better, because usually it takes an outside eye to see the amazing talent that a person has. But with no guidance, you're just going to see a lot of entrepreneurs. And even when I go to events, I can talk to an entrepreneur and see that there's no growth, there's a plateau, but they don't know that there's a plateau. But I can hear it in their voice and hear it in that they're working by themselves. And so when I hear that they're working by themselves, I'm like, yeah, you don't have anybody to unlock your true potential.
Right.
And I feel like we can bring that to people now. When you get the doubters or you get the pessimistic people, you have to run with those that are with you.
Hmm.
And there's been, I mean, building out this
Nice.
entrepreneurship
Nice.
ecosystem,
Nice.
there's a lot of organizations that you realize, okay, they're not on the same wavelength to really push forward. Like, if it's empowerment, you have to remove yourself from that environment and go with those that are with you. Because the more you're trying to pull people with, it just holds you back. So
Oh,
that was a
that's
big learning
nice.
piece for me.
So now you're in entrepreneurship. Now you're here helping people. Hey, I'm in this ecosystem now. What was that first day like, man?
I remember it just as waves, right?
Mm.
You never really remember moments.
Mhm.
But the day that we had our first event for ACBN,
Mhm.
and it was in Brampton at the Chinguzi Ski Chalet. So you have this idea about what you're going to bring to the world,
Mhm.
but you don't know how it's going to be received. And at that time, we didn't have like a proper event ticketing platform. So it was just put it on LinkedIn, put it on Facebook, put it in groups, like whoever shows up, shows up. And when you look around, you see like 50 people, and you're like, all these people are looking for something to help them with their business, and we could be it.
Mhm.
Like they're here looking for us.
So the excitement was building.
That's where I was, and even with my team, I was like, yo, we've built something that somebody came from Cambridge,
Mhm.
from Scarborough. That to me is a moment that I'm like, okay, we're on the right track.
Mm.
And then all opportunities start to fall in place from
And these
that.
are all Black individuals.
Black entrepreneurs that all felt they didn't have the right support system. They felt like there was more support that they could be getting. And at that time, so this is now 8 years ago. So there was no government funding for Black entrepreneur organizations.
Right.
Like all these things we were doing just on our dime and trying to figure it out ourselves.
You work with a lot of youth now.
Yes, yes.
So why do you believe entrepreneurship is the way for them?
I wish it was there. I wish somebody came into my high school and even if it was just for one day, said, class, today we are learning about entrepreneurship. This is what it is. This is how you can start your own thing. I think I would have had less of that 10-year drift
Mhm.
if I knew entrepreneurship was a possibility. So a lot of times, especially in high school, you only hear of like the massive entrepreneur successes. You hear of Zuckerberg and you hear of Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, man, that is amazing to start that kind of company, but you never see that for yourself. But you forget everybody around you, that's the plumber, that's the contractor, that's the mechanic that you're going to, they're all entrepreneurs and making good money to have a good
And
lifestyle.
nobody looked at plumbers as entrepreneurs at that time.
Exactly.
It was a
They didn't have a
skill.
name,
It was a
right? It
skill
was
they
like,
had.
and you feel like, okay, if I don't have a skill, then I can't do something specific like that. So that's where if we can introduce, and that's why I felt like if we can introduce entrepreneurship early enough, at least a youth knows it's an option. And a lot of times I'm talking to youth in high school and they've almost stopped dreaming. They just only are seeing to the end of the week or the next month. I asked this, I remember this gentleman, I was like, oh, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? He's like, no, probably getting a minimum wage job. Like, no, we can get that done next month. I'm talking about 5 years from now. And the whole class like really paused to allow themselves to dream. And he's like, oh, I'm going to buy real estate on Mars. I'm like, yo, Elon is building the rocket
Yes,
to go.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
it sounds
exactly.
crazy, but it's actually when you let yourself just dream, these are things that could be plausible. But if you stop the youth from dreaming and they don't even know they have an option of entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
that's where I feel they get stuck. Because if academics doesn't work out, then they feel they have no hope.
Wow. Wow. So as I look back on your accomplishments, and then we're going to speak about the gems you've learned along the way. So you have your Dragon's Den appearance, which is amazing. Your Afro-Caribbean Business Network, as you said, 6,000 people plus. Then you got your first Black-led microloan fund,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and you have your senior housing development, which is really cool. I'd love to speak to you more about that. And then your wealth triangle philosophy. I'd like to know what that philosophy is. Can you say that right now?
Absolutely. So using business and transitioning it to a franchise so that it cash flows so that you can buy real estate. So start a business, learn how to optimize it and franchise it, and then use that money to buy a franchise.
Oh,
To buy real estate.
Real
sorry.
estate. Nice, nice. And so you also co-authored a children's book with your daughter.
Yeah.
What,
I actually have a copy for you. In the car. I'll get it for you after.
what is that? What is that?
So Jazz and Dad started a lemonade stand. So Jazz, when she wanted to earn her own money, she did a lemonade stand at my parents' house.
Mhm.
And so later on, she also wanted to earn more money to buy a Nintendo Switch. So I was like, we can turn that story into a book. So one day we just drafted every part of the story and turned it into like an entrepreneurship mini training document. And yeah, we put the book together and we launched it when she was 8. What was that? So 5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yes.
Oh, so you're just like way ahead of your time, man. Like 5 years ago was a while back. Like that's going through all that pandemic and all the things that when the world is shifting. Wow. So even then, looking back, right? What decisions quietly changed everything for you, but you didn't realize that it was changing things for you?
When we started ACBN and having a team around me, I didn't realize how important that was at the time. So now we're operating, and I would notice kind of for myself when I'm down and not have energy, then the team, picks it up. There's times I want to cancel events. They're like, no, we don't have to cancel it.
Oh,
Just,
nice,
they would get you through. Even though to start ACBN, the only reason that it's gotten to this point is because there was a team. And it took 8 years to learn the lesson. Us having a database of 6,000 entrepreneurs that don't have team members isn't success.
Right.
It's now we have to actually help them build their team. And it took 8 years to figure it out. It's
But those are lived experiences. You're
Yeah.
actually going through it until you figure out, really,
Right.
this is part of what we're doing. So maybe we can help them better. The lived
Right.
experience says a lot. Is there anything that almost broke you that said, hey, I want to just give this thing up?
Ooh, yeah, that time when, like I was saying, I was going through the bankruptcy, Detailing Nights had grown so like we were doing 500,000 and then went to negative, like below zero. And you're like, yo, how do you build? Because to me, bankruptcy as a business owner was the ultimate failure. That is what you would see on TV or hear that, yeah, you can't go bankrupt. Like that is the ultimate failure. But then, and again, to my wife, who reminded me that you're actually not into the negative. You're not starting at even zero. You actually learned a lot over this time frame where if you start again, you're not
Yeah.
starting from scratch. You've actually had this expertise. And that took me out of my rut because I didn't I like even my teammates with Detailing Nights, I kind of just disappeared. I was like just pillow face, sleeping all the time. And when she reminded me of that, I was like, yo, I need to get back to work.
Right.
I have
right.
all this knowledge
Knowledge.
that
Right.
I'm sitting on, sleeping
Right.
on.
Right.
So when we started back, we were able to get close to the same revenue level within 2 years. I thought it was going to destroy me, but it actually, because my wife reminded me I had learned so much, and you could just use that to build faster.
So how important is that support system?
But that's where I mean, a proper support system, I'm sure, can save a lot of people from definitely taking their life, but just feeling depressed. Like that feeling, you feel like there's no hope.
Right.
So even though logically you know there's things to live for, in your mind, emotionally, you don't want to go for the next day. You're just like, the next day is just going to be more pain. So it takes an outside eye to really, one, just be there because, hey, things crumbled.
Yeah.
When I got laid off, my wife could have left. Before she was my wife, she could have left and be like, this guy has no future.
Right.
When
Right.
going through the bankruptcy, she could have left. She's like, hey, you tried it, that failed. I got to go somewhere that, things are actually moving forward. But because she was there and didn't leave, it reminds you, okay, this person is with you no matter what. And that unconditional love, that's what the support
Oh.
is that unconditional
Nice.
love
Nice.
that I didn't realize, like my parents, I put my parents through the ringer. I know if they ever have an ulcer, it was me. Like the way, like during school, it was just a problem, but they were just there. They never leave your side.
Never
And
leave.
you never understood. I never understood it until I had my children.
Mhm.
I'm like, I will take a bullet for this child. I will, like, this person is my life, and
Nice.
anything I can
Nice.
do to make them.
Nice.
And especially, we talk about like fathers with their sons, and your father is the one that wants them to be better than you.
Yes.
Is the true man in your life that wants you to be better.
Mhm.
And you never understand it until you have kids. So seeing it and then being able to look back and see, like, yeah, my parents, unconditional love. My wife, unconditional love. Now I have this unconditional love, of course, for my wife and for my kids. It only comes through connection. You can't experience it on your own.
Wow.
So if that
Wow.
connection is not there, that's why I would say build relationships, build that networking community, have staff that you can rely on and that they rely on you. It just creates that social network for yourself.
And that's the reason I wanted to speak to you. I like how you speak. I like how you say those things. I like how you speak about the support. I think the support is really important. A lot of entrepreneurs have been on here and they speak about the support. Some have not gotten the support.
Right.
And it's taken longer. I really appreciate you coming on here, man. And,
Oh, my pleasure. I was always waiting for the call. I was
I-
like,
and-
I'm watching the episodes. I'm like, yo, should I reach out? I gotta.
No, yeah, I'm coming. And also at the same time, I also got to look at, like, I want to be at a level 2. Like, I got to be better at how I flow, how I speak.
Okay.
It's part of the journey.
I've always been a fan of the work that you're doing. I know, like you said, we connected and then kind of went our ways to focus on what we were doing.
Right.
Because we've been a fan of each other's work.
Mhm.
It's okay, now how do we amplify this and work together more? So I'm looking forward to that.
But I remember one time you invited me out to one of your events. You always do. Always
Yeah,
come
yeah.
come on. And I said, Ryan, you know what, man? I've been doing this since 2012. I have 24,000 people that we served under our belt. And I said, Ryan, you know what, man? I love going to all these events, but And this one, I just finished the Schulich School of Entrepreneurship.
Oh, nice.
And I said, you know what? You know how much talent I have? I want to speak at these events. I don't want to come and sit down and having somebody that never really put in as much work as me
Right.
and to listen to them. I don't even remember that exchange. When I
Well,
said
this
to
is
you,
where we should have leaned into that, because talent like you have, we need to spotlight these things.
but I think I can offer more
Right.
and be more
And that's
impactful
yes.
if I can speak
Yeah.
to some of the young people that's going to be at these events.
And even noticing entrepreneurs that are in our community or people running organizations that do great work but don't have a spotlight, and
Right.
that's why I love what you're doing with this platform to say, okay, I'm gonna just pluck some of the people that have their head down doing the work so that people know it exists.
Right.
And hey, I would say you built your own platform,
Yep.
so this is where
This is
we
where
want to
it's all
support
about.
it. So with the book that I wrote with my daughter,
Mhm.
I've been trying to turn it into a cartoon. So using some of these AI like text to video and
Yes, yes.
image to video.
Right.
But like you said, it'll help you create scenes, but you had a skill to edit and actually turn it
Yes.
to a proper
Proper.
cartoon,
Yes.
right? So I'm gonna be checking that out.
Yeah,
See.
check it out, please,
Yeah.
please. I really appreciate you coming on here,
Oh,
brother.
pleasure.
Right.
Right.
I gotta have more coffees with you, because you seem to
100%.
you
Yes.
seem to have this on a lock, and
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it. Once again, Ryan,
Yeah.
thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
And as you know, this is I Quit My Job. Quit My Job podcast. I'm Slowly Plus One. We had Ryan on here. He shows you about entrepreneurship. He talked about legacy, and he dropped some real gems in understanding how to navigate this ecosystem in terms of you're an entrepreneur. You know, here's what we're deciding for you. Maybe it's not the money you need. Maybe it's just marketing, which is one of the most important thing out there. You know.
Yes.
And so there'll be a lot of gems. And what I'd like for you to do is like and subscribe to this podcast. I Quit My Job podcast. There's a lot happening to it, and there's a lot more to come. So thank you again, and have yourself a great night. Peace.
Peace.